We're going to take some time today, and we're going to talk just a little bit more kind of about how to make this your most successful and your best OEP ever. Looking at the calendar, it's starting to feel like fall out there. We got 9 days to OEP. I can't believe it. It always seems to creep up awfully fast on us here. So if you would be so kind, you can ask questions throughout the entirety of the webinar, but we will go ahead and hold off and answer them at the end. Additionally, for any of you, whether you're a current Quote It subscriber or not, we're going to talk about some finer details about Quote It and maybe how stuff we talk about in the webinar you can use the platform to your advantage. And so again, if anybody would like to stick around for that, once we get done with the webinar, I'm going to kind of go in and show you a few things. And again, anybody that wants to hang around is definitely more than welcome to. So without further ado, again, I'm going to take it away. I thank all of you for joining us this morning or this afternoon. So we're going to talk about our OEP Bootcamp Part 2. And technically, I guess there's some of you that are in OEP right now. So again, it's definitely starting to feel a lot like that time of the year. So we talked last time about the cadence. And there were some follow-up questions that kind of, wanted a little bit more clarification exactly how the cadence worked. And now the reason I urge and strongly recommend using a cadence is, so many agents that I talk to, just the nature of your business is it's a very busy business. And so, you might have a meeting on Monday, you might have meetings on Tuesday, and then finally you get some time Wednesday morning for maybe 2 or 3 hours, and now you're going to make a whole bunch of phone calls. And so you make a bunch of phone calls, maybe you connect with a few folks, and then, the afternoon is appointments, and then maybe it's Thursday afternoon, you gain some time again, and you're trying to make phone calls. And so what happens is you're not really hitting people in any sort of a congruent manner. You just kind of, I guess kind of a shotgun blast more than that. And with the cadence, what you're doing is it's a much more refined process, and you're trying to stay in front of them over a period of time so they get used to your voice, they get used to your message, and eventually either answer the phone or call you back. That's our ultimate objective. So essentially, the sample cadence that I kind of put together here, if it's a longer sales cycle, you can go as many as 7 or 11 days. With a product like this, I feel a 5-day cycle is right kind of in that sweet spot. So day number 1, we're going to call and leave a voicemail, and we're going to send an email day 1. I think that's one of the most important things that people do miss is they leave a voicemail, or they don't even leave a voicemail, followed up with an email as well, just because everybody likes to correspond in a little bit different capacity. And so this kind of appeals to everybody's mood when it's all said and done. Then I want to put a day in between them. And I want to send an email now. So maybe, a follow-up email just talking about open enrollment, talking about things like that. And I'm just making sure the screen is playing. I apologize for that. It looks like it was paused. So anyways, there we go. You call and leave the voicemail day 1, put a day in between it, send the email on Wednesday there. And now we keep going and we get to day 3. Again, if we have not heard back from them, we're going to put a task on a calendar, or we're going to remind ourselves in some capacity that, okay, day 3, I haven't spoken to this prospect. I'm going to call and leave another voicemail. And then we turn around and we get to day 4 again. Here I've taken out and combined the weekend as a day. So Monday we're going to go ahead and send another email. Again, a very, very easy way to just kind of stay in front of them. And then finally on the 5th day, we are going to go ahead and send a voicemail and an email. And so again, here you can see, if this is one of our customers, over the course of about a week and a half, we're reaching out 5 times. We're not inundating them 3 days in a row and then leaving them alone for 7. We're spacing things out, and we're reaching out via voicemail or via email. However, they kind of like to correspond. And so just to kind of give you an understanding of what the cadence looks like, what I actually did is I went ahead and pulled some of the emails out of the OEP Bootcamp, that the emails that were listed. So here we go. This is day 1. This is going to be our voicemail and our email. So the light gray box is going to be our voicemail. Hey, prospect, I was just reaching out because the open enrollment period is approaching fast. If we're in open enrollment, you can say, hey, the open enrollment period is here. And then I like to talk a little bit about, as an independent agent, I work for you, not the insurance companies, right? Let's differentiate that, hey, my job is to help you, not necessarily get you the policy that the insurance company wants me to sell you. And then my job is to stay on top of all the new insurance laws and regulations. Let me help you out this year. So here we go. Again, we're delineating that, hey, this is what I do for a living. let me help you. and then lastly, if you have a quoting link or a way for folks to quote themselves, my screen just went away. If you have a way for folks to quote themselves, right here you can kind of put a link in, and away we go. Now again, as I showed day one, I want to follow that up with an email as well. So here, this is actually one of the emails in your toolkit. I hope you're having a great week. The 2020 open enrollment period is right around the corner. Again, we fast forward a week and a half, you can say it's here, which means it's time to start thinking about your health insurance needs for the upcoming year. During this period from November 1st to December 15th, again, if you're in a state where the open enrollment period is different, I highly recommend that you adjust those dates. You can add, drop, and change your current health insurance coverage. If you want to make any changes, here's a list of plans. Again, this is an area where if you have the ability for customers to quote themselves, you can build it right into your link. And again, you can kind of take some of those shoppers who maybe like to do the research on their own and give them that tool to shop on their own, which, again, sometimes if we don't want to be pushed into something, we like just kind of taking a look, and this gives them that opportunity. So day two is an email. So again, we just left our voicemail and our email. We waited a day in between. Now, again, this is another email from your open enrollment toolkit. I was wondering whether you made a decision about your health insurance needs for next year. 2020 enrollment period is rapidly approaching, and during this period, again, if it's a different time frame, please update that for your state-specific information. You can add, drop, and change your current health insurance coverage. If you need any help navigating any changes to the health insurance needs, I'd love to help you find the right coverage. And then again, if you have a way for customers to quote themselves, you can definitely put that in here. And then if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. So we send an email, we wait a day, and now if we don't get them live on the phone, we have a voicemail that's ready to go. So we're going to get a little bit more aggressive as far as, our salesy persona when it's all said and done. The first one was just kind of a trusted advisor. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper and try to elicit a response. I was just reaching out to see how your search for health plans are going. Again, we know if they're somebody who's a lead or somebody who is a former client, that they need health insurance this time of the year, whether or not they're sticking with their current plan or moving into something else. Again, they're shopping. I've helped a number of clients avoid wasting time searching for the right plan. I love using the word avoid in any sort of marketing material, period, because it tells me, hey, I'm doing something else that somebody else already did, and I'm doing it the wrong way. And then here again, at the same time, I can help explain the policy details in a language you understand. To somebody who's really never navigated the health insurance landscape before, the deductible, all these numbers, all these terms just seem overwhelming. And to let them know that, hey, I know what this is and I can explain it to you in regular terms, that all of a sudden makes you, again, that much more trusted advisor. So we've left a voicemail. Now we're moving on to day 4. So we wait a day and we're going to send another email. This one I like, again, hey, I'll keep this short and sweet to make the 26 seconds it takes, worth your time. And I did time it. That's how long it takes. As an independent agent, I get to speak with people like you about their insurance needs daily. What does your schedule look like over the next couple of days? Can we schedule a 15 to 20-minute call to discuss your insurance? If you're somebody who likes to meet in person, definitely throw that in there. Can we schedule a meeting? Or can I schedule a needs analysis so I can put some plans together? Again, these are static. You can change them however you want. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to put something together that kind of arms you and lets you take and run with it here again with our proximity to open enrollment. My number one objective is finding the best plan that suits you and your needs. Let me know what works on your end. And again, here's where I love having that ability for your customers to quote and potentially enroll themselves, because I love staying still skeptical. Hey, here, take a look at everything that I have to offer. And if you have any questions, feel free to follow up at that point in time. And then the last day we're going to again, wait one day in between. And now we're going to do one more voicemail and one more email just to see if we can kind of catch them. So here we go. We're coming down the home stretch. We've officially got, if it's today, we've officially got 9 days until open enrollment begins. Now, again, if it's a situation where we're in open enrollment, you can just change that we've got 12 days left in open enrollment. But here, I kind of wanted to again, create that sense of urgency. Let's meet early and avoid making a rushed decision, because none of us really like to know that I've got 2 days to make a decision. I have to put all this information in front of me, and I have to decide what I'm going to ride with for the next year. And again, leave your name twice. I'm a big believer in that in case people are trying to write it down the second time through. That way they don't have to listen to your voicemail again. And then here is our email, which again mirrors very closely the voicemail. Hope you're having a great week. I'm reaching out because we're 9 days away from open enrollment. Let's try to find some time to meet before things get crazy. Again, just kind of taking that person and letting them know that, hey, things are going to get crazy. This is the first 5 or 10 days of open enrollment. Let's take some time while things are still, really not at that full fever pitch. If you would like to shop on your own, here's a link. So again, we if have the ability, we can go ahead and put that link into your email and let customers quote shop all that sort of stuff on their own. So that's going to kind of wrap up the cadence as it were here. We're going to talk a little bit now about your tech. This is the time of the year. Hopefully you've evaluated it and you've kind of looked at it. But I like to point out again, before things get super crazy, we only have 9 days before open enrollment, but 9 days is still a pretty good chunk of time to prep and get ready. So first of all, is your computer performing as it should? If you've been complaining about your computer that, hey, it's running slow, or, I can't get it to open when this happens, or it's having a trouble with the Wi-Fi, whatever it might be, maybe this is the time of the year to go invest in another computer. I talked to one gal when I was selling Quoted, and she was in Florida, and she wanted to go out and get a tablet, and she loved it. She bought an iPad, and she thought it was just the greatest thing. She'd take it to all our customers' house, and just again, it made her feel like she was a very tech-savvy individual, and it kind of gave that impression that, hey, look, I'm on your side. I've got everything here in one spot. Your phone. Is it overdue to be replaced? I just went out and we walked in and we upgraded my wife and I, both of our phones. It was just time. The new update came out and our phones were running slow, and we just kind of decided now is the time, especially with the discounts and everything that's going on. Is this the time to maybe go replace your phone? Is it cracked? Do we need to get something fixed again so we kind of present, this polished image that we want to give? And then is your mailbox full? A lot of times we get kind of fixated and we don't check voicemails. We're so used to text messages and emails that the voicemail box might be full. And you might be able to run like that for a certain amount of the time of the year. But this time of the year, when hopefully we're trying to grab and capture new customers, I would definitely make sure that your mailbox has been emptied, and that if people want to leave you a message, they have the opportunity to do so. Antivirus software. Again, if you're somebody who goes from customer's house to customer's house, or maybe you meet at mutual locations like Starbucks, or the list goes on and on. Even some of the McDonald's now have some pretty good Wi-Fi. Well, let's make sure you've got a good antivirus software running, because the last thing you want to do is log in, click on the wrong thing, and now your computer's locked up for 2 or 3 days, and it has to go see the computer doctor before you can really do anything about it. And then lastly, your Wi-Fi at home. Is it wise to boost your Wi-Fi for the next couple of months? Just make sure that as you're trying to run through, if you do Wi-Fi calling and you're on your computer at the same time, maybe it's time to call your provider and boost those speeds a little bit. Just make sure that, again, you can service your customers as well as possible, because customer experience is really what it's all about. That's, in my opinion, what brings referrals. That's what brings back repeat customers. And we're going to definitely talk about that as we continue. Secondarily, we want to take a look at the business. We're going to spend a whole lot of time on a webinar after the first of the year. Don't have an exact date yet, but somewhere in the January, February timeframe, we're going to run a webinar. We're really going to talk about websites. We're going to talk about a lot of things as far as, organic SEO, a way to get your page found, all that sort of stuff. For today, we're just going to kind of give a high-level overview. So the first thing that I tell people to do is search your business. Just see what happens. Make sure that there's no issues with your website. Sometimes, maybe if you're used to looking at your website and going directly there, you search for it on various platforms. Maybe try Firefox and try Google, and make sure that, whatever browser you're looking at your website on, that it appears correctly. Look at it on your phone. Let's make sure that all of a sudden it doesn't look really, really different on a phone than it does on a laptop, desktop, or a tablet. Look to see if there's any reviews out there. One of the things that I really like about Google is it's honest. People can leave reviews, whether it's good or bad, and they can't be removed. But what it also gives you the opportunity to do is reply to any negative reviews. I mean, maybe it was something that was out of your hands and the customer didn't understand. Well, one negative review out of 50 isn't going to hurt, especially if you're able to go back on there and say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, that you had such an issue. Reach out to me and let me fix it, because that's what I'd like to do. See where you come up in the organic searches. If your primary focus is, ancillary products, or if your primary focus is the ACA under 65, Medicare, whatever it is, try some different searches and just see how you come up, so that, again, you can kind of tailor your business to how people are finding you. If you Google Medicare insurance near me and you come up and you don't sell Medicare insurance, then that might be an issue. So again, just kind of making sure that everything is flowing the way that it should. And then lastly is going to be Google My Business. If you don't use Google My Business, this is, again, another topic that we're going to talk about in great detail after the first of the year. But I do believe it's the best form of free organic SEO that exists out there. And it's a very easy process to do through Google. It just gives people the opportunity to find you, again, in a localized area. So we're going to switch gears a little bit here and actually talk about short term. One of the things that I think agents run into is, we sell short term. We at least offer it, during the non-open enrollment months, or to people who don't have a qualifying life event. And then some people just kind of forget about it when we get to open enrollment. Now, I've talked to agents and they've all said the same thing. If I've got a customer that, maybe they don't qualify for a big subsidy, let's make sure that we talk about it. So first and foremost, don't forget about it. It's great in the states where there isn't a penalty for not having a major qualifying medical plan. And it's a great option where there's consecutive terms available, because now, again, we can set it up so that, hey, if you want to run this plan for a year, you can do that. There's some states where they'll let you run them consecutively 1 year to the next. So you can run a 2-year plan with a short-term plan. But most importantly, it allows you to offer insurance for any budget. If you've got a customer that comes back and their subsidy is qualifying them for somewhere around $100, I would honestly put a couple options in front of them and let them make the decision. As long as, again, we're offering informed decisions, whatever the customer decides is best for them and potentially their family, that's what we should really encourage. And like I said, it is a second option for the low subsidy clients. So changing gears away from short-term a little bit, we're going to talk about cross-selling. That's really the meat and potatoes. That's why that's what the major point of this particular webinar is kind of geared around. And I grew up in an era where the big joke is, would you like fries with that? Because that's what they taught all the folks at McDonald's, is ask them every single time if they want fries with that. And that's kind of what our ancillary products and what our cross-selling is. If we're not asking people if they want it, or if we're not informing people that it even exists, there's a very low probability that we're going to ever sell it. Because I promise you, you might have a customer or two that comes to you and asks for a dental plan, maybe a vision plan, but they're pretty few and far between that call you up out of the blue and say, hey, do you sell any accident plans? Do you sell any term life? So again, it's an opportunity where we've got people in front of us to kind of show them some other products and educate them about other products. Looking at some statistics here, this is kind of a no-brainer. 99% of insurance agents agree on the importance of cross-selling. I'd like to know who the one person was. It's probably the same dentist that didn't like Crest, but at the end of the day, 99 out of 100 folks all agree that we should be cross-selling. The stark comparison, however, is there was a study done of 5,000 agency principals, so agency owners, producers, and then account managers. So 5,000 people. And of those 5,000, almost 2/3 of them self-admitted that they lack any effective cross-selling system. So, that tells me that it's something that we all agree that we should be doing, but maybe we just don't quite know how. So taking a look at it, first and foremost, do your customers know you're a broker? Or do they think that you just sell major medical, that you just sell short term? What sort of email campaigns are you sending out to let your customers know that I do more than just major medical? Are you running campaigns during the off season for dental and vision, for accident, for life? Are you telling people that there's different products that you offer? So, for example, again, accident. Do they know that you sell accident, critical illness, dental, indemnity plans, vision, and again, life? And then last but not least, Medicare. If you're an agent that does both, and as these people kind of graduate into Medicare, do they know that they can stick with the same broker and do everything in one spot? Because I think that's how most people would rather handle it. So by letting folks, again, know that you offer all of these products, you become the place that they're going to go for all of their insurance. You might end up getting some calls for things that you don't sell, but at the very least, you can refer them to somebody that you know is not gonna try to sell them any of the products that you really specialize in selling in or really want to sell when it's all said and done. So the bottom line, again, when we start talking about cross-selling, the most important thing that you want to make sure to avoid is you don't want to just, push a whole bunch of policies in front of a customer. This is one of the biggest fails I see agents make is, a customer comes in, they say, hey, you know what, I'm looking for a major medical plan. I think I'm paying too much, or, I'm really focused on these features. What plans do you have that'll do that? And all of a sudden we pair it with, a plan enhancer, accident plan, dental and vision. And we just kind of slide everything across the table and go, okay, the monthly is going to be, X, Y, and Z without really any context to why. So let's make sure that we're educating and informing why these policies are important. For example, if you tell me, hey, here's a critical illness plan with no context, if I've never heard of that, I really don't understand and have no clue that in the event that something like that happens, I could be delivered a check of, somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000. By taking the time and slowing down and really explaining that to them, it's gonna help the selling process. Even if they don't purchase it today, it's put the bug in their ear. 3 months down the road, somebody else is talking about it, or, unfortunately something tragic happens to a friend or a family member that makes them think back to the conversation you had. That really opens the door at that point in time. Here we go. So this is one of the oldest cliches or euphemisms I was told. This started way back. I sold stereo equipment for very, very high-end stereo equipment. And it was the very first sales job I ever had. And my boss, one of the greatest salespeople I've ever met, was really, really adamant about feature and benefit. As a matter of fact, he told me we couldn't tell any feature unless there was a benefit to follow. And I think it really, really it correlates to this industry because, again, like we were just describing, if you slide a whole bunch of plans across the table to a customer and they don't have any idea what the context is, all they see is the cost, but they really don't know why they need it. So for an umbrella, it's pretty simple. All right, hey, the handle collapses, the 3-ply leak-proof material, and a 1-year guarantee. So if I just kind of fire all these features at you, they sound good, but it really doesn't, it's nothing I can grab onto. So, hey, you know what? The handle collapses. It makes it really easy to carry in and out of the office. Hey, I work at an office. That definitely benefits me. The 3-ply leak-proof material. Hey, this is the best protection from both sun and rain. Now all of a sudden I'm sitting here thinking, wait, I can use this in the summer too when it's hot outside? And then the 1-year guarantee just correlates to the fact that it's a very, very quality built item. So again, if you do this when you're selling the accident plans, if you do this when you're selling dental plans, if you do this when you're selling major medical, to really, again, show them how it's gonna benefit them, it's a great way to really solidify the selling experience. Knowing your audience is huge. And again, we kind of talked about it a little bit, that you can't just push a bunch of plans in front of somebody. You kind of have to educate them. Well, if I don't know anything about the customer, how can I offer them anything? And that's where I really recommend, again, that you slow down and do what we call kind of a needs analysis. Have a set of questions. And what I did here is I kind of put together 6 that might be a place for you to start. This is in no way, shape, or form a comprehensive list. If you want to add or subtract, definitely, I'm sure there's other questions that could be added here. But, one of my favorite questions, hey, has your physician ever recommended a health plan? Maybe they have. Maybe the physician said, hey, with what you've got going on, I highly recommend something with X, Y, and Z. And it just shows that you care. Maybe they'll say no, and you go, okay, well, if your doctor never recommended anything, let's talk a little bit about your medical history, and let me help you recommend something that's going to work the best for you. What do you dislike or like about your current plan? This is one of my favorite questions to ask, because at some point in time, we've all had a product, whether it's a health insurance plan or otherwise, that just didn't work the way that we'd hoped when we purchased it. So now all of a sudden, again, you can kind of flush out what is an issue and what they're trying to remedy, and really, again, bring a solution to the table that's going to fit their needs. How much do you pay for an urgent care visit? This is one that I hear agents ask all the time, because especially if you have little kids, I don't have little kids, and we end up at the urgent care probably a half a dozen times a year. And again, this is a great question to ask as you're looking at short-term plans, because it can help you differentiate. Maybe a short-term plan is enough. Maybe that's what they care about the most, and I can help them get a more affordable plan to fit in their budget and take care of the things that they need. I noticed you don't have a dental plan. So, a lot of times, again, what you ask your customers is, hey, why don't you tell me what you have right now for health insurance? Let me take a look at it and try to find something comparable. Well, definitely, if they don't have dental, if they don't have vision, those are a couple of great great talking points. I see you wear glasses. Why don't you have vision? And here we go again. Do you wear glasses or contacts? If they're not wearing glasses, it's still a safe question to ask, because my parents both have prescription reading glasses, but they don't wear them on a daily basis. And then lastly, I think this is a really valuable question, because it shows that you're really appreciative, you're really concerned about their bottom line. How long can you go out without an income? So, if you're talking to a single person, how long can you survive with no cash flow coming in? If you're talking about a spousal situation, how long could you go without one of those incomes? And again, this kind of leads very nicely into our accident plans, our cancer, heart attack, stroke. Or another great question, do you have enough cash to comfortably cover deductibles? And again, this now can open the door for plan enhancers. Hey, I noticed the plan that you're looking at has a deductible out of pocket of X. Do you have Y in the bank account to cover that in the event that something goes wrong? And so it gets the customer kind of thinking, maybe I do need to reevaluate the whole suite of products that I have, not just my major medical. And again, when I talk to agents, one of the things that they were kind of scared of is like, well, if I start pushing all this stuff at them, I'm worried they're just going to look at me and go, hey, do I really need all this? I'm just coming from being employed by a W-2 employer, and now I'm going out and I'm starting my own business. This is the first time I've ever bought insurance. Do I really need all this stuff? And one of my favorite responses to that question is you just look at them and you go, which one of the features and benefits do you want me to take away? Because honestly, I put this all together because I felt it was a comprehensive package for you. Are you not concerned about the cancer, heart attack, stroke? Because we can take that off and it can save you, X over the course of the month. But are you comfortable with that? And this is again where if we've gone through and done the feature benefit, done our needs analysis, it really helps to again understand the customer and essentially how they like to purchase and so forth. But most importantly, if they're not buying it from you, they're buying it from somebody else. Again, this goes back to, do they know you're a broker? So by sending these emails, by setting something up automated, hopefully, that you're kind of nudging customers every 3 or 4 weeks that, hey, I sell dental insurance, or hey, I sell vision, or hey, you know what, I sell life insurance if you're looking for something like that. Again, it's just a great drip marketing program. And if you don't have some sort of software to automate a drip marketing process, that's the very first place that I definitely urge you to start. And here we're really going to talk about the impact and the power of what a loyal customer brings you. So loyal customers are 5 times more likely to repurchase. So customers that are loyal to you are going to stick with you a lot longer, which doesn't really come as a huge shock. I just didn't know it's 5 times more likely to repurchase. They're 7 times more likely to try new offerings. So now you've got your loyal customer, and you're venturing into, term life insurance, or you're venturing into hospital indemnity, or maybe your next big thing is you want to really start offering accident products. Well, those customers that are loyal to you and in your book of business, they're 7 times more likely to look at that and really make a decision towards purchasing. They're 4 more times likely to refer. So, we all know the greatest customer you get is a customer referral, because it's somebody that has a lot of trust because of the recommendation they've been given by a close friend or a family member. And so again, it's going to help get you some of those policies without having to do so much prospecting, which in the grand scheme of things, that's where we all want to get it. We want to get it to be where it's a well-oiled machine, where you're not making a whole bunch of phone calls. Your phone's just ringing for people who are looking for your services. And lastly, might be the most impactful and the most powerful one. They're 5 times more likely to forgive. So a customer who is able to call you up and get the information, get their questions answered in a timely fashion. If they have questions or if they want to see policy details, policy brochures, being able to get all that information to them in a timely manner is going to make them loyal. And they're 5 times more likely to forgive if something does happen. Maybe you told somebody you were going to call them back at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Your afternoon just gets crazy and you completely forget about them. And the next day they call you and they go, hey, what happened, Matt? You were supposed to call me yesterday at 4. You can kind of explain what the issue was. And again, a loyal customer, as long as it was a legitimate reason, I had to pick my kids up, or hey, you know what, my dog got sick, whatever it might have been, I got stuck in traffic. They're just a lot more likely to forgive you in that instance and go, okay, hey, life happens. Let's talk about what we want to talk about and kind of move on. And ultimately, we want you to land on easy street. One of the questions that I ask insurance agents all the time is, hey, would you buy a policy from you? Understanding kind of the way that you track people's information, understanding the way that you get back to customers, understanding the way that you enroll. I hate to say it, but it is kind of a tough deal when you're looking at 4 or 5 different policies, maybe even 6 or 7, and you're trying to enroll in all of those different policies. And now we have 6 or 7 different applications. And if you're like most agents that I talk to, you get the big ones out of the way first. So you're going to do your major medical, you're going to do your dental, your vision, and maybe the customer runs out of time, or maybe now the toddler has just had enough, and they start crying and complaining. And that customer looks at you and says, you know what, let's hold off on the accident and the critical illness. I got to get out of here and get this one some food. Now you just lost out on the 2 sales that you were probably the most excited to sell. So having some sort of a platform where, you can kind of do all this in one, I think is paramount in this day and age. And then again, obviously the customer experience. How long is it taking you to get back to them? Do you have the information at your fingertips, or is it a situation where you have to say, once I get back to the office, I'd be happy to answer your question? Bottom line, this is a day and age where people are very used to immediate information. And if they don't get it, they start to get frustrated in a very, very, very big capacity. Last but not least, we're going to talk a little bit about social media here. I think this is a great time of the year. If you haven't been doing so thus far, definitely start today. If you have a business page, start advertising that you sell insurance. If you have an individual page and you're an insurance agent, start there. But there are some very, very key features to making your social media page work the best. So first and foremost, keep the posts consistent. So we don't want to post 5 times in one day and then not post for another 2 weeks, and then post another 7 things, and then not post. The sweet spot, all the research that I've done says once a day is pretty well ideal. Now again, during open enrollment, is that feasible? Can we really get on, find an article, and post something once a day? Probably not so much. And that's why your gurus are going to say post a minimum of 3 times a week. So once a day is ideal, 5 to 7 times. 3 times though, however, one on Monday, one on Thursday, one on Saturday. That's going to keep you relevant enough that essentially people are going to follow you. Don't post more than twice a day. That's one of the big ones that I came across. Is some people again think, well, if I post 3 times a week, it's good, but if I post 6 times a week, that's awesome. And they're right, as long as it's once a day. But as soon as you start doubling up, it just kind of becomes too repetitive, and actually the algorithm within Facebook starts to kind of limit who can see what you're doing. And then lastly, mix in info and fun. Everybody wants to hear the ins and outs of term life, but don't be afraid to maybe throw some funny stuff in there, some funny memes that pertain to health insurance, things of that nature. And by all means, if you have a way for people to quote and enroll themselves, definitely put that thing on Facebook at least once a week. I would urge every other day. You can create a very, very simple very simple Facebook post and copy it, save it, and then just every other day, paste it in there, let it go. And more importantly, when you are posting, it's found that between 3 and 4 in the afternoon traditionally are the best times to post. So again, there's a lot of books and a lot of information written on social media. But again, everything I found was keep it consistent. Once a day is the best. 3 times a week minimum is kind of your price of admission, and don't post more than twice a day. So what we're going to do here, and there we go. I'm sorry, early afternoon posts are the best.